Hello, welcome to Six Tackles with Gus. We're here thanks to our great friends at Tab, and we're set to look at a pair of cracking preliminary finals. Storm v Shark, 7:50pm Friday at Amy Park in Melbourne. And then Bronco versus Panther, Sunday afternoon, 4:05 kickoff at Suncorp Stadium. It is a festival of football in Brisbane on Sunday, and every final live and free on 9 and 9 now, and the grand final exclusively live to Nine's Wide World of Sports in a week and a half's time. Welcome, Phil Gould.
Matthew Thompson, how you doing?
I'm going well, thank you.
That's good. The cream has risen to the top. It's funny how it works out, isn't it? The start of the year, if you tried to pick the four best teams or the most likely teams to be in finals, I reckon Panthers, Storm, Broncos and Sharks would have got most people's votes.
They'd have been up there.
It's taken 29 weeks and here they are.
You're saying it's the whole thing's been a waste of time.
The final four. Well, I've said for a long time the better teams can probably hop on one leg and make it to the semi-finals. A few of them did hop on one leg for a while. They weren't putting their best foot forward for long parts of the season, but the season's so long and testing, eventually the cream rises to the top, and the cream has certainly risen to the top here. Two great preliminary finals this weekend.
Now, you seem in reasonably good form this afternoon, so I don't want to upset you, but thinking back to Sunday afternoon, I think I said in the call, I'm not sure a team has played a better 40 minutes of football than Penrith did in the first half against the Bulldogs. There's Cameron Ciraldo vehemently disagreeing with me. Do you agree? And does anybody have the capacity to stop the Panthers playing like that? They were completely on a different level.
Well, they're a champion team. And I remember at the start of the year you saying to me, could they win it again? Could they make it a five-peat? Even though they'd lost some players. Jerome Luai left the club. James Fisher-Harris left the club. Some younger fellas coming in. They bought young Blaze Talangi from Parramatta as a replacement for Jerome Luai, or hopefully a replacement if things worked out, and they have. But I said they've still got half a dozen of the world's best players in their key positions. And, if they put their best forward, they'll be hard to beat. What happened in the first half of the competition, I guess at the end of the season, they might have a review and let everyone know what life was exactly like during that period at the club. But what they did do was pick themselves up, probably with the full confidence that if they put their best foot forward, they can make a long run. And they've done that. They astutely rested their players when they needed the rest a few weeks ago, just to give them a little bit more refreshing leading into the finals. They lost an opportunity to finish top four with a second chance, but I think they fancied their chances of winning it if they could just get in the eight. And their performance on the weekend is reminiscent of so many performances we've seen over the years where they were just too good and too strong, too classy, too well drilled for their opponents. I don't want to take anything away from their performance, but the Bulldogs were vulnerable on the weekend and they'd had a long run themselves. But the Panthers in that sort of form, when they complete 20 out of 20, when the halfback's in that sort of vein, extremely difficult to stop.
They're amazing to watch. And two great preliminary finals to come this weekend. Sunday finals footy's been a winner.
Yeah.
The Sunday afternoon games, because normally it's Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
And from a television point of view, it's probably no secret that that's where traditionally the most eyeballs have been. But there's been a move to shift the game to a Sunday afternoon, and it's actually proven a winner from a ratings point of view because the week one game down in Canberra is actually the highest watched game of the year. And Sunday just gone, the ratings were off the map at Channel 9.
All football should be played on a Sunday. Every day of the week should be a Sunday.
Every day should be a Sunday.
It's the best day of the week, and it's the best day to play football. In the old days, every game was on a Sunday. There was a match of the day on the Saturday at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and the Sunday was every team played, all three grades on their suburban home ground here in Sydney, and you'd get the scores from the other grounds around the ground.
Well, you want to go back to that? We'll go back to that.
I love Sunday.
Every television should be black and white while we're at it.
I love Sunday afternoon football. It's absolutely terrific. I'm a big crowd out there on Sunday, Acor Stadium. That's the way I love to see our game represented and supported, and wonderful atmosphere for both teams. And terrific result for the game.
Great crowds, yes. Phenomenal final series. Only 3 games of the year to come, believe it or not, and we'll have a good look at both preliminary finals a little bit later on this episode.
No. Dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh, it's a sad one to start. They will run out of Kleenex in Canberra after the Raiders straight sets exit.
Yeah, look, it's never nice when teams go out in straight sets, but such are the vagaries of our competition. The competition, like Canberra Raiders had a great year. Don't get me wrong; they had a great year. They deserved their minor premiership, etc. But it should be pointed out they only played one top 8 team twice all year in their run to the finals, which a lot of other teams played a lot more top 8 teams twice than that. I pointed out last night on 100% footy, the run that the Bulldogs had in the early part of the year to establish their high performance or their high position on the ladder as well. And sometimes the ladder can produce that. At the end of the year, they put a lot into that first game against the Broncos and fell just short, agonisingly short, and just didn't come up for week 2. And I've been in this position a number of times where teams in the finals put so much into that first week, looking for that week off into the preliminary final, that it just leaves them a little bit flat and busted and wounded the following week. And they lost their 5-8 in the days leading up to the game and just weren't at their best at all. And even though they were at home in front of a big crowd, they couldn't get it done. They'll be disappointed by it, but at the end of the day, they've had a cracking season, great year, and a sign of things to come. It's still a young side, and they should be proud of their efforts.
You haven't pointed out the quirks of their draw until now. You've been keeping that one up your sleeve, have you?
Well, the official, the people without their eyes painted on can see all that, yeah.
So you're not saying that they were falsely at the top of the ladder, are you?
No, I'm not saying that falsely at the top of the ladder. I'm just saying there are vagaries in our draw that at different points during the season, at some stages during the season, some teams had 3 buys and other teams hadn't had a buy yet. Looking at the ladder at different points of the season, that's just how it went. And there were games that if you played well during the season, you would win, and others where, some teams had very difficult draws and very different times frames between games and everything. It's a hard season to get there. What I do say is that by the end of the season, the cream rises to the top. Sometimes it's by round 24. This time it's taken till round 29 for our 4 top teams to eventually get to the top of the ladder. And I think they're the 4 best teams. That's taking nothing away from the Raiders' performance this year, nor the Bulldogs for that matter. But it's not their time yet. They're still not in that ilk of the 4 teams that we've got at the moment.
And no Jerome, Jamal Fogarty. So his time with the club is finished. He's off to Manly, so they've got to fill that important number 7 jersey, which will probably be Ethan Sanders, but I think he's only had, 1 or 2 NRL games? So they're taking away a lot of experience in game management to put a rookie in that position next year.
Yeah, and they didn't go down that line the other night to replace the other boy, did they? They put Sasangi to 5'8", a running sort of back row centre, who had a good game too, and he caused some trouble for the Sharks. But they just missed that organisation. You could tell in the first 20 minutes where they dominated field position and were really attacking the Sharks' line. I never felt at any time like Sharks looked like conceding points. It just didn't look like the attack was flowing at all. And once the Sharks got a little bit of possession, they defended well. And then once they got a little bit of possession, they they racked up a winning score themselves. They were just too good for the Raiders on the night. It's a big win, a game away from home. And the Raiders would obviously be feeling the effects of the game 6 days earlier against the Broncos, which was nearly a 100-minute effort under great pressure.
What would be harder, the physical or the emotional toll of that game?
Well, both, absolutely both. We went through it with the Bulldogs too. I tried to explain last night, like there was a game a couple of weeks out for the semi-finals. We played the Panthers, and Panthers decided to rest all their players and play their reserve grade side against us. And when they did that, we actually contemplated doing the same. So the Bulldogs, we played 13 weeks straight. That was our 13th game in a row, which in this competition is a long haul by any stretch of the imagination. We discussed whether or not we would rest our players against Panthers and freshen up that week to then play Sharks in the last round and go into the finals. But the coach was adamant that we could beat Melbourne in Melbourne, week 1 of the finals, if that's where we finished. If we finished in the top 4, we'd play Melbourne in Melbourne, and we fancied our chances of going down there and putting in a good performance, which we did. I still think, apart from the injuries and the bad luck that we got on the night, we could have won that game, and that would have given us a fortnight break into the preliminary final and probably a better chance. But having gone to Melbourne, all we got was bad luck, experience, and a few injuries, and We just didn't come up well enough to play against a top-class Panthers team on the weekend, taking nothing away from the Panthers' performance. They were superb. But it's just they're hard to win competitions, and it's hard to maintain it all year round. And there are vagaries in the draw where the ladder means nothing at different points of the season. And good luck to the Raiders who finished minor premiers, and that's a wonderful achievement. But their draw wasn't as tough as some of the other sides.
He's often talked about in the game, but Nicho Hynes is silencing some of his critics.
Well, you say that because I don't hear critics of Nicho Hynes these days. Who's criticising Nicho Hynes?
I just asked the questions.
Well, I don't hear critics, so the answer's probably no. But if you
he's been the whipping boy because Cronulla haven't been able to win finals.
Yeah, well, the media's whipping boys as please. Anyway, the Cronulla Sharks have been around the finals for a few years now, and it took them 3 years to win a semi-final. They went out in straight sets a couple of times, even though they finished top four. Mm-hmm. Took them 3 years to win a semi-final. This year, it's been a different sort of season for them. They've been hovering around the 8 all year. They've never been or out of the 8. They've been hovering around the 8, but not quite playing well. But they've steeled themselves to the back end of the season. And all that experience, all that disappointment and all that experience and all that hard-level football against quality sides eventually comes back to you at some stage. If you can stay the course and learn from the experience, it does come back to you. And it's certainly come back to the Sharks now. They were able to beat the Roosters at home, and now they've been able to beat the minor premiers down at Canberra. And they look really healthy at the moment and well served to go to Melbourne and really test the Melbourne Storm this weekend. So I think the Sharks themselves as a team are probably silencing a few critics and a few doubters. Nicho Hynes being the mainstay of that team, the number 7, probably wears the brunt of whatever criticism comes his way. But he also gets a lot of the praise when they do well as well. So it all goes with the territory of being a number 7 in this competition. But the Cronulla Sharks have been terrific. So too the coach, Craig Fitzgibbon. He's got them peaking at the right time of year. He's got them healthy and confident. There was a real confidence about their last couple of performances. We noticed we played them in the last game of the season. The game meant nothing on the ladder to either Sharks or Bulldogs. And for the first 40 minutes of that game, it was really finals intensity. And you could just see that they were setting themselves up for a big finals campaign where they probably hadn't played like that for the most of the year.
They're playing with a hard edge that we haven't seen from them.
Yeah, and they've got the bit between their teeth, and they're healthy and they're fresh, and now you get momentum. You get momentum and confidence into September. That's the key, and they're going to be a handful for the Melbourne Storm.
Are they what?
This weekend? Absolute handful. They'll go there with a lot more confidence than they've ever approached a game of this nature before. I think in previous years they've gone there hoping things will go well. I hope it's okay on the night. With a bit of luck we can beat them. Maybe there was some self-doubts. Maybe there was a lack of confidence because of previous losses and the hard part of our list too is that the Panthers and Melbourne Storm have been so good for the last 4 or 5 years that that's the biggest challenges you face. But I think it's evening out a little bit. The other game we'll talk about that later too. I mean, there's pros and cons in that game, but I don't hear too many critics of Nicho these days. They've got a nice chip on their shoulder at the moment, the Cronulla Sharks. You can hear all the players saying we've been written off, we've been downtrodden, and people doubted us, etc.
I like it.
It's a nice little bit of motivation to have.
For sure. We'll preview all the games, like you say, but I just get the feeling with Cronulla, the value of the week off is something that's always spoken about with respect to finals. I get the feeling the more Cronulla play at the moment, the better. They want to play now.
Yeah.
They're building.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they were probably disappointing at stages during the year.
Absolutely.
They lost the games. They lost some games to some lowly teams. And I remember there was a night where the Roosters had 12 or 14 out and put 40 on them there at one stage. I mean, there was real dates. And they lost Cameron McGuinness, their tough lock forward there at one stage. And people were saying, all right, well, that's the end of the Sharks.
Absolutely.
But they've rallied and they've come back hard. A couple of players are making names for themselves. Like Billy Burns has been around for a number of years as sort of a fringe first grader with a few clubs. But he's really established himself. He's keeping the core out of the starting lineup on that side. So, it wasn't until the last round of the competition against the Bulldogs that their back five played together this year. was the first time all year the back five played together. And we all know the Sharks, their back five are so important at both ends of the field, their finishing ability, but also their ability to get the ball out of the backfield and make ground for them. So the Cronulla Sharks are, they're playing Melbourne in Melbourne. That's no easy peasy sort of assignment. And they'll know they're in a game. And I think you'll find later that Melbourne Storm have named Jerome Hughes, and it looks as though he's going to play. So we'll address that when we preview the games. But Cronulla Sharks, if they've been critics or doubters, then they've certainly silenced them with the last couple of weeks. Win, lose or draw this week, it'll have been a nice end of the season for them.
Turbo should wave goodbye to Manly.
No. I don't think he'll ever wave goodbye to Manly. I don't know where he'll play in the future.
Or should he say, shove it, Manly?
No. No. I think forever Tom Trbojevic will be a Manly boy. He will always be a Manly boy. Whether or not he plays with another club, whether or not he plays overseas in the remaining years of his contract, and we don't know how long his career will last from now, he's certainly got some work to do on his body to regain confidence for those that sign him up and those that want to extend his contract, and for him personally to put his best foot forward again. It's been a roller coaster ride for him of injuries and missing football.
But you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
What's this? The latest contract scuttle?
Yeah,
it's all scuttle. Yeah, I don't believe what I read in the media. You people place too much on what you hear in the media. Honestly, I'm not listening to any of that at all.
Right,
they'll work it out.
Why would his management come out publicly and say that they've shifted the goalposts?
I don't know.
If it's not true, well, it's come from his management.
Well, the media says it's come from his management. I don't even trust that. I don't know. I don't know what talks have taken place. I don't know what his contract situation. He's still on contract for 26, isn't he? 2027's a long way away.
Just look, I take on board what you're saying, but with someone like Turbo, I mean, he's one of the greatest ever players the club's had. You wouldn't want to muck him around, would you? Like, if they want to keep him, you sign him up.
Why are they even worrying about extending his contract right at the moment? Why has everyone got to do everything 15, 18 months in advance? Why is this November 1 thing scare everybody?
Well, you run a club. You probably are the best person to answer that question.
It doesn't scare me. I don't worry about it.
But clearly other clubs are scared.
Well, they're scared because they might be going to lose a player, or because their player's asking for an extension and they don't want to keep him and they don't know what to do about it publicly. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why, people make statements in the media, or things are leaked to the media, or they use the media to put out a story on their behalf. I mean, the way people use the media and the way the media reacts in this town is ridiculous. But, with Tom Trbojevic, he's a Manly boy through and through. Absolutely Manly boy through and through. So if there's been some discussions around extension and there's been some, disagreements on what he may or may not be worth in 12 months' time, how would you put a figure on Tom Trbojevic now for 2027?
Very difficult.
Given what he's been through. That has got to be difficult. That's a big investment if he's 100% right. But will he be 100% right by then? And I've spoken to this about high performance and training and players like this at this stage of their career. I've seen a number of players at 27, 28 years of age, and they're kind of at the crossroads. They're about to enter their prime and their senior years. And, there's just this little period they go through, whether they're really going to go on and do it and play into their mid-30s, or whether or not it all becomes a little bit too much for them and they sail off into the sunset, or they head off over to the UK and earn a few bucks over there. I don't think Tom Trbojevic is that sort of player. I don't think he's one that's going to sail off into the sunset. I certainly don't think that he should be even contemplating. Like, I hear of reports that he's talking about going to the UK Super League. I mean, how ridiculous.
Well, Warrington have come in with an offer because...
Why wouldn't they?
But because I think, he initially knocked back approaches from the UK because he was close to having this deal done with Manly, and now it appears that they've gone to do a deal and Manly have changed the terms of that, so the UK are interested again.
Tom Trbojevic will have no shortage of suitors if ever he decides he wants to leave Manly. He'll have no shortage of suitors. I don't think Tom Trbojevic wants to contemplate leaving Manly.
Well, he would never play against
But
him.
to be honest, you play CEO. What's Tom Trbojevic worth in 2027? Tell me what he's actually worth. What's his value as a player today? This is the difficulty of managing contracts, and particularly with prominent players, and the market the way it is, and the way it's advertised in the media, and the expectations of player managers or players into what their value actually is and how that fits into a salary cap, and young players coming through and other positions that are going to be catered for. And
how would you deal with a player in his circumstances like this?
Well, I would hope. Well, it's certainly been my experience that I've never lost a player I've wanted to keep. I've never had a player put himself on the open market. In fact.
But if he was saying, "Look, I want to know what's going on here with respect to my future," and he's a player, he's a big name player. Well, look, I don't know, but if he'd come to you and said, "Gus, I've been one of the greatest players in the game with injury problems for a little while now, but I want to know what my future looks like," how would you handle it?
Well, let's see what the future holds. Let's get back into training, get you back on the field, playing to the best of your ability, and then we'll be able to work out your ability. I have no worries about this November 1 stuff. I have no worries about players. And I understand players like their security, but I don't think Tom's like that. That's why I don't put any credence in all of these sort of rumours. I don't know who's instigated the conversations, whether... I doubt Tom would be worried too much about 2027 with Manly at the moment. Maybe Manly are thinking there's heat from the fans or the media or worrying about... I don't know.
Well, I believe he feels disrespected by the way things are panning out at the moment.
That's according to the media. I don't know. Unless I hear it come out of Tom's voice with his face, I don't know what the truth is. So it's really difficult to comment on. But what I'm saying to you is, why in September 2025 does Tom or the club have to worry about his value in 2027 or try to even ascertain what that value might be? Now, 12 months ago, it was reported he wanted to go to the league and take a pay cut because he felt guilty about the money he was earning and not playing enough games. Was that scuttlebutt? Was that truth?
Oh, no, it's truth because the league said he wasn't allowed to do it.
Okay, well, that's where his head was at that time. So until I hear it out of Tom's mouth, I don't know where Tom's head is.
What do you want to hear out of his mouth?
Well, nothing at the moment. I think Tom would be looking forward to an off-season to get his body right, to hit the ground running next year and show what his true value should be. Tom Trbojevic will have no worries getting suitors for 2027 if, in fact, Manly doesn't want to keep him or for some reason he doesn't want to leave. He wants to leave Manly. But I don't think Tom's like that. I think Tom would like to give good service next year and prove what he's worth. And I think Manly should be entitled to see him play before having to make a decision on it. Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't that be the sensible way to do it? So why does everyone want to rush into these contracts?
I'm just asking the question about how you'd approach that.
You brought it up on this.
Yeah.
Just let it breathe. Let him get through the off-season. Go away. Lay on a beach, get a suntan, get back in the gym.
You said he should be running. You said he doesn't need an off-season. Get out there running.
Well,
run, bro.
This is the one of the things that's, players like Tom, players that get to this stage and they've had a run of injuries or consistent injuries, particularly soft tissue injuries and different things that he's had. There was sort of a theory that you've got to nurse them along and get them out onto the field. If we can just nurse him and deload him and not punish him too much at training and, but get him out there for game day. The problem is if you do that, if you deload them, if you don't train them hard enough or you're a bit soft on them at training and they get in the game, well, your opposition isn't easy on them. Your opposition doesn't deload them. Then they're not really ready for the competition. They're not really ready for the physical battle that's out there, which is how injuries happen. Now, I'm not sure if that's the case with Tom Trbojevic, but I've seen it with plenty of players as well. You've got to work hard and you've got to train hard to play consistently in the NRL and to play to the best of your ability. You go and look at some of the long-serving players in this game, and that's what they've been able to do, is to maintain their training schedule, to keep their body fit and well, and that's what stops injuries. I don't know where Tom sits in all of that. I really don't. I mean, I'm flying blind here. I could be completely wrong with everything I'm saying, but I don't know what everything's interest is in. Tom's a Manly boy. He should be playing at Manly, and I think he'd like to play at Manly. And I don't think either Manly or Tom should be worried about his value in 2027 today. I think his priority should be getting into a good off-season, getting into the season next year and showing people what he's worth.
We've got some breaking news on Six Tackles with Gus.
Yeah.
We don't often deal in breaking news. Mark Nawaqanitawase has informed the Sydney Roosters of his intention to leave the club at the end of 2026 and return to rugby union in time for a home World Cup.
Mm.
How does that make you feel?
Seems to me we've heard this song before.
Oh, what is this, another conspiracy?
Eh?
Is this another conspiracy?
Well, it's the same thing with Suoli. Informed him he was taking up his option, then informed him he was leaving at the end of the year to go to rugby.
So he signed he started last year, didn't he? So it's a 3-year deal. And then that was always the question, whether he was going to stick with league or go back to rugby. But his management has told the club he will be going back to rugby. He won't be playing Super Rugby. He'll be playing in either France or Japan, and he'll be hoping to play for the Wallabies at the World Cup.
Right. And does that mean then a return to rugby league?
I don't know. That I can't answer for you.
Oh, well, that's a loss. Anyway, that's the modern world.
Do you think that will impact his chances of playing for the Kangaroos?
Oh, I don't know.
Would it impact his chances of playing for the Kangaroos if you were running the joint?
I don't want to talk about it because I'm doing these now is giving rugby publicity. I just don't, that's what they've bought. They've bought a good player, but they've bought 12 months of publicity now. Good investment. They got 12 months of publicity out of Suoli before he went. How's he gone in the rugby? I haven't seen.
The Wallabies are back, baby.
I haven't been watching.
I think the Bledisloe Cup's this week, and Australia's a good chance to win it on form.
Are they?
Anyhow, so that's the way it is. That would be a shame to see him leave rugby league, but who knows?
Terrible shame. What a sensation he's been. He's been a wonderful sensation. What an athlete. What a great player. Yeah, that's sad for our game. I would like to have seen him in our game long term. Anyway, such is life.
Did you see the RLPA Dream Team?
Caught it on 100% footy last night, yes.
I nearly nailed it. It was too different from the team that I had.
Right.
Aaron Clark, your man, you had him at lock. I think we both had Tom Dearden, but Izzy Katoa got the halfback spot.
Yeah, good. He was on the show last night, 100% footy, Izzy Katoa. What a well-mannered and articulate young man. Gee whiz.
He is an articulate young man, isn't he? 21
years of age. He speaks so well and he speaks intelligently. And
he's been captaining that team.
He's extremely humble. Very, very humble, very thankful for everything he's got. He's a wonderful young man, deserves all the success he gets.
Imagine the records that he could break if he plays until he's in his mid to late 30s.
Let's hope we see it. I hope I live to see it. How long is that? Yeah.
You're on contract with the Bulldogs for the next 35 years.
That's odds against. I think I'm odds against to be that long.
Yes, Tedesco, Nawaqanitawase, Stephen Crichton, Herbie Farnworth, Xavier Coates, Ethan Strange. I could not believe it when I woke up and saw he was out of that game on the weekend, Ethan Strange.
What do you have, a flu or something?
But it's influenza A, I think. So he was so badly ill that his heart was racing and they had to take him to hospital and all sorts of things.
Dear, oh dear, oh
dear. I've got some sort of lurgy as well for about the 8th time this year. Hopefully it's not that. Payne Haas, Harry Grant, Joseph Tapane, Eli Katoa, Hudson Young and Aaron Clark. And the impact player was Kurt Mann from the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs.
Oh, good on him. Brilliant.
AskGus. The NRL season is nearing an epic conclusion. For the best time in sport, Tab has the best app in sport. Tab we are on.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
A question from Elaine, not Elaine from Seinfeld, but Elaine, one of our loyal listeners. What's the best piece of advice you ever received and whom was it from?
Best bit of advice I ever received was from my dad. He said, never let mugs upset you. That served me well.
I like that.
Yeah. He also said you can't buy money. A few things he told me over the year. That's the best advice.
Never let mugs upset you.
Yeah. Nick Politis said to me one time, baby, losing is bad for business. I've had some good advice over the years. Not all of it I followed, by the way.
No. What's the worst advice you've had? Never bet odds on.
No, that's good advice. That's good advice. No.
Good question, Elaine. Dan wants to know if you think the minor premier is rewarded sufficiently. Is it a big enough incentive to be a minor premier? The good old days, you would have got the first week off, says Dan.
Yeah. I think it's $1 million prize. I think it's very unheralded in our game. The problem I have is, as I described earlier, that the draw is not always fair. We don't play each other twice. And depending on the teams and the draw that you get and who the teams that you do play twice and at what part of the draw you get them, at what part of the draw you get your buys, how affected you are by representative football. You know, I think that first past the post deserves a huge recognition, particularly, but our competition is not fair from the draw. It's just not. Now, I maintain that every year we get the best team usually wins the competition, and we pretty much get the best teams get to the top 8. I think we gets that far, but positions within the 8 and what have you, the first past the post probably loses its credibility a little bit because the draw's not 100% even. And if you go back and look at the draw, the number of teams in our competition that played the most top 8 teams, the most games against top 8 teams, and the number of teams that played the most games against bottom 8 teams, you get a different complexion on what the draw and when they played them, who got the buys during Origin, who didn't got the buys who missed players during the Origin period, what teams they played during the Origin period, were they affected by players that were out, you know.
Is there ever going to be a way, though, that you can make that fair across the board, given there's so many variables?
No, I think, you know, and again, whether I live to see it, I don't know. But I think if our game gets to the point where it's 20 teams and we have 2 conferences of 10 and we have 2 kind of separate competitions in that regard that meet, they have 2 grand finals and they meet in a Super Bowl. That's like it's hypothesising there. But because we have so many teams in the competition, we can't play each other twice. The season would be too long and too draining. If you're not playing, the perfect model is to play everyone twice. If you play everyone twice, home and away, and there's no interruption from representative football, and you know whatever the rest periods are equally shared by all teams, then I would think that the minor premiership carries far more weight. I mean, the English Premier League is a first past the post competition, but I think that our draw will never be completely even. Over the course of the 6 months, though, the 30 weeks, invariably the best 2 teams get to the grand final and someone wins. Sometimes you get a team get to the grand final. It's probably not their time, but usually the best team wins the comp. I can't remember the last time where the best team all season didn't win a comp. I can't really remember that. Certainly for the last 4 years, anyway. You know, and that's why your Panthers, your Melbourne Storms, your Roosters have pretty much dominated the last whatever period. I think that it's probably why it's not rewarded as much.
Yeah,
and even the reward of the first weekend, or winning in the first week. In the old days, the minor premiers used to get a week off the first week of the finals. And that was your sort of reward, and then you come into the major semi-final, preliminary final the week before. So
under top 5, you'd get 2 weeks off, wouldn't you?
No, well,
didn't you get the first week off? Then you'd win and get another week off.
Yeah, the top 5. The first weekend of the finals, the minor premiers would rest.
Yeah,
2 would play 3, 4 would play 5.
Yes,
the loser of 2 and 3 would play the winner of 4 and 5, and the winner of 2 and 3 would go on to play number 1, the minor premiers, in the second week of the finals. The winner of that game went direct to the grand final. For instance, in 91 with the Panthers, right, we were minor premiers and we played in the first weekend of the semi-finals against North Sydney. We missed the first weekend. We played North Sydney, who won the semi-final. We went straight to the grand final. North Sydney went back and played the Raiders. They won, and we played Canberra in the grand final. So we went fortnight off, semi-final against North Sydney, won that, went straight to the grand final, fortnight off, played Canberra in the grand final, which is a big thing to overcome. One game in a month leading into the grand final. It doesn't come without its challenges. And I always think a week off at this time of year is valuable around finals time. That's why the Broncos and the Storm have got an advantage going into this week's game. Although Panthers and Storm and Raiders and Sharks have been able to manipulate a little bit of a rest in the last few weeks and are coming in with momentum. But I always think the week off is a big advantage at this stage of the year. Whether you won first or second in this competition, it's really irrelevant. You both get a home semi-final. If you win, you go straight to the preliminary final. What do we pay the minor premiers? 100,000 or something.
I think, that was the case.
Chump
Going
change.
back a couple of years
Chump
ago.
change. But if there was more,
That's Ricky Stewart's fines in the press conferences for the year.
but if the competition was a genuine fairness for every team, and it's not, if the draw was fair to every team, and it's not, then the minor premiership would really mean something. It's $1 million prize to go through the 24 rounds and finish on top of the competition ladder. But we don't really recognise it. We don't recognise it with the draw. We don't recognise it with the final series. There's no difference between running first and second. And it's a $100,000 prize, which they'll spill when they go on an end-of-season drink.
They had the JJ Gilton and Shield down in Canberra a couple of weeks ago. I've got a couple of photos of it.
Sometimes they've got to put it on 2 planes and send it in 2 different directions.
They might. You reckon they've got a couple of them?
Not knowing which way that's going to go. Yeah, I don't know whether you get the original, but anyway, that's just one of the things in our competition that bugs people at different times, and it's. But we get the right winner at the end of the year. At the end of the year, the best team wins, pretty much.
When did the Gilton and Shield go from being given to the premiers to the minor premiers?
When we made the trophy, the Winfield Cup, I think. So the Winfield Cup, when was that? Around about late 80s.
What did you get in? What did you get in '88?
I think we got the Winfield Cup.
And ask David Middleton about all this.
Yeah. So the Gilton and Shield used to be. That's the one they carry on the victory lap. They used to carry the Gilton and Shield on the victory lap. Then it became the prize for the minor premiers because they went to the sponsor, the
sponsored type, right?
The Winfield Cup, the Telstra Premiership.
Yes.
So and the new trophy and the the trophy that they've got now. So it became the prominent award on grand final day, which they walk around. They can't run with it because it's too heavy. They walk around the thing with it. But the old days, the victory lap, no one was on the field, and they'd all swap jerseys, and you'd think the wrong team won the comp if you go back and check all the things because they're wearing the opposition team's jerseys. Or they'd have no jerseys on at all, but they'd run around. It was a victory lap. You had to run the lap with your shield. Nowadays, they take 2 hours. They walk around and take selfies and photos, and they carry the big trophy, and they've got to share it because it's pretty heavy. You wouldn't carry it all the way around yourself.
Mm. Well, Laurie dropped one famously, didn't he?
He broke it.
He did break it too, didn't he?
Yeah, they broke it. I think there's a few versions of that too.
Had to patch it back together again. Sean, with one of our better questions of the year. Gus, you talk about player development and how it often takes a long time to develop our best playmakers and game managers, often into their 30s. My question is, how did Nathan Cleary, Jerome Luai and Izzy Katoa become so good so early? Good question, Sean.
Yeah, development. The Harves Academy and the academy program out there at Panthers is second to none, I think, in world sport. And the number of players they've been able to produce in all sorts of positions. But went through a period there where Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai, Sean O'Sullivan, Matt Burton sort of come through those programs. Izzy Katoa was probably the latest one. And a few others too that were very, very good players but haven't been able to crack it there and have headed off elsewhere. But the scary thing here, and you might not believe me, but I keep saying it, Nathan Cleary is not even in his prime yet. And you saw how awesome he was on the weekend. I mean, he took that game by the scruff of the neck and he was just too good. I read a stat leading into the game that Nathan Cleary had not lost a day game since 2019. That when he gets those conditions, those dry weather conditions on an afternoon game of rugby league, he's able to ignite all the players in that side. And the ball movement, the kicking game, the 40-20s, the time and space he's able to create, the momentum over the advantage line that the Panthers are able to, gives him time and space, and he's very, very hard to accommodate. He's not in his prime yet. He's not in his prime. He's brilliant. He's the best player in the game, but he's not in his prime yet. As good as what you've seen, you're going to see better in the coming years. I remember when they won their first premiership in 21, I think the following year they were heading towards the finals, and I was asked the question on 100% footy, do you think they can go back to back? Because only the Roosters had done it since 1992 and 3 with the Broncos, and we were having a different premier every year. And finally the Roosters cracked it. When did they do it? In 14 and 15 or 15 and 16 or something?
It was 18, 19?
Something like that. Yeah. 18 and 19. Well, they won 2 in a row. And they said, do you think the Panthers go back to back? I said, back to back. I said, they'll win 5 or 6.
You might be right again,
and
Gus.
I said that at the time. And, they've won 4. Should have won 5. I still think they should have won the first one. And, they'll win this one too.
You've declared it.
Well, I said to you 6 weeks ago, they'll start favourite in every game they play for the rest of the year.
Hold your fire for our preview. That is Ask Gus. Thanks to Tab. Finals time. It's the very best time of year, and Tab has the best app in sport.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Our Ampol Power Surge, thanks to our great friends at Ampol, who are powering Australia's own sporting nation. I had this one jotted out on the back of the Reece Walsh Hudson Young thing the other week. 3 great player brain explosions that you can remember. Now, Reece Walsh, I wouldn't describe that as a headbutt. I mean, I suppose it's a pale imitation of a headbutt.
Yeah.
It was more of a graze.
Yeah.
But can you think of...
Why'd the other bloke get sent to the sin bin?
I've never heard of anything so stupid in my life for sledging him. He was trying to provoke the response he got.
Yeah.
Which resulted in whilst going to the bin. So, well done. All power to you. Except he went to the bin as well.
Why?
I don't know. Like, the cynic in me would suggest that I think the referee wanted to make sure it stayed 12 on 12.
But why?
Because it's a big game, Gus. Giving one team a player advantage at that stage of the game might have decided it.
I find myself watching the game with decisions and 6 agains and penalties and sin bins and bunkers and all that. And I ask that question, why? Why did I miss a meeting? Have suddenly the rules changed?
You don't get invited anymore.
Who comes up with all this? Who decides that now this is the way we're going to treat this?
Hudson Young actually didn't do anything wrong.
We had a penalty try there a couple of weeks back because someone was offside and made a tackle. A penalty try. He made a tackle on a bloke who dropped the ball, and they said, well, if he wasn't offside and make the tackle, he would have scored the try. I'm saying, who makes this up? Who makes this up? Who makes up that Hudson had to be sent off for that?
Well, that was a judgment call, and that was completely... Look, I'll leave the opinions to you guys, but Hudson Young did nothing wrong.
Why?
I don't know. Not one person has been able to answer that question.
Yeah. Anyway...
But back in the day when you were coaching, right, you had a million agitators that played underneath you, and their job was to get under the skins of opposition players who are easily riled to throw them off their game. That's exactly what he did.
Don't go comparing the game we played to what we've got today. I'm just saying that somehow rules keep encroaching their way into our game, or interpretations or rulings or things that all of a sudden you go, why? Why suddenly is that a rule? Why? Who came up with that? Why? And it's like no one stops it. They just, oh, okay, that must be the new rule. I don't get it. Don't ask me to comment on it. I don't get it.
I didn't.
And then the usual response is if it's seen to be wrong, we'll have a review at the end of the season and talk about that. But they never do. They never fix it. And the next thing it'll be commonplace. My God, Ronaldo Mulatalo, he'll never be on the field. If that's going to be a sin bin.
Yeah, for sledging blokes.
Or do you only get sin binned if you get headbutt? if you invoke the headbutt, then you get sin binned. So if you're actually good at it and you invoke...
He played his role to perfection.
So do you mean to tell me that if Reece Walsh didn't throw the headbutt, that Hudson Young was going to the bin?
No.
Then why was he going to the bin?
Nothing would have happened. Would have been play on.
How dare you make him headbutt you?
Correct. It's victim blaming. That's right.
Anyway, go back to your original question.
Three great brain explosions you can remember.
The three great...
Well, not three great brain explosions.
Great brain explosions. Great brain explosions. The one that immediately comes to mind was that Parramatta fullback, Paul Carriage. What was it, about 1998?
We talked about it on the week, but someone brought it up on the weekend, and every time someone brings it up, I wince for the poor bloke.
Like...
It was 18-2.
Well, it's folklore now. I mean, he's over it by now. But
you sure?
It was he got the ball in the in goal and chip kicked or something, and then they threw it the ball. It was kind of like what?
Oh,
Number 2 brain explosion He's sending Hunsford Young to the sin bin for invoking a headbutt. No, there was another one I saw one night, ex-Bulldog bloke, Lachlan Lewis. Remember the night they were walking off at half-time and he crash-tackled Cody Walker?
Kind of remember that, yeah.
For no reason, he grabbed him by the neck and dragged him down. Like, that was a brain explosion.
Hang on, I need to look this up. I kind of do remember this.
It was half-time of a game. It was a lowly game. Bulldogs were playing South or something. And Lachlan Lewis, who was a quirky sort of character.
Or was he?
This was about 2020 or 2021.
Here we go. Lachlan Lewis, Cody Walker. Dumbest moment in the NRL. I think I was calling this game.
And they were walking off at halftime, smiling and joking with each other. And then all of a sudden someone said something and Lachlan Lewis crash-tackled him and dragged him to the ground. You've got it on your laptop.
Here we go.
Here we go. Tab, what are you really gambling with? And they're talking, pushing.
Bit of push and shove. Bit of banner. He's smiling.
Smiling.
Little slap on the back.
Pat him on the back.
Oh, he's got him. and then Cam Murray piles in. There's Dane Gagai.
They're all in.
they're all on top of one another.
What was the aftermath? Did anyone get sin bin for this?
There's the white shot.
What
was doing there?
God knows. They were just walking off, and all of a sudden he crash tackles him. What's doing there? That's very funny.
Oh, he should have been sin binned.
Yeah, very, very funny.
What? He was sin binned. He's gone to the bin.
It was after the
half-time.
It was after the halftime hoodoo.
Why would he have done that?
I don't know.
Oh, there's Trent Barrett. Very bemused. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who was the other brain explosion? The brain explosion happened in a test match up at Lang Park, this years and years ago. Howie Tamati and another fella from Australia, I'm trying to think who
Greg Dowling.
Greg Dowling got sent off.
Kevin Tamati?
Yeah, Kevin Tamati got sent off. Kevin Tamati or Howie Tamati?
It was Kevin Tamati, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they come to blows on the sideline.
Yeah.
Another brain explosion would be the Battle of Brookvale when Glenn Stewart and Adam Blair ran to the sideline, had one look at each other and started to punch on, which created a bit of a melee, a brouhaha.
Here we go. Here's Greg Dowling and Kevin Tamati. Well, it started on the field. Oh, it boiled over onto the sideline, I think.
Yeah. Is this YouTube?
Yes.
There's some great things on YouTube. I love watching YouTube.
They're following the ball here. We need to be following the fight. That's the more interesting thing at this stage. So there they are, near the halfway line.
Now they're over in the crowd.
Oh.
They're into it.
Well, they're all blueing.
Yeah. Brain explosions.
A couple of tough men there.
Yeah.
Blocker was involved. What a shock. There's the Ampol
Brain
power
explosion, Blocker.
Blocker Eddie Ward.
Patting the head of the referee when he got sin bin.
What about the night where you got sent off by Bill?
Yeah, mistaken identity. Probably a brain explosion was when I tried to pull the team off the field of Brookvale Oval. That was probably a brain explosion. One of my finest moments.
What year was that?
To the 1995.
Were you getting a hammering from the ref?
Yeah. Manly were going for like 16 in a row. They were trying to set a record. They were leading the comp. And we'd been beaten on the bell a couple of weeks in a row. And we went into camp and I drove the bus over to Brookvale Oval. Bozo was coaching Manly. And we shocked them. I think we led 19-4 at half time. Like, absolutely shocked them. And we pulled a few tricks with the selections and everything. We had a bit of a game plan. And we got out to 19-4 and then it got back to 19-16 and we got a couple of sin bins and anyway, someone had to change the course.
Oh, you pulled him off the field. Who was the ref?
He only refereed one game. I think that was his last game.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you win?
Yeah, we won.
You won?
We held on and won.
Oh, you did the job.
Ronnie Palmer ran out to Sean Garlick. He said, Gus wants you off. He said, who, me? He said, no, the whole team.
No, all of you.
He said, why? He said, he wants the whole team. He said, Ronnie, we're in front. He said, go back and check. Ronnie come back. I said, no, sit down. Don't worry about it.
So did Sean Garlick tell the ref that you were asking for them all to come off?
Was that a scrum? I think,
Oh, too clever.
Too funny.
The master coach, eh? That's the Power Surge thanks to Ampol. We'll have a look at the 2 prelims and also a couple of fantastic NRLW finals after this.
Fans always ask, Loza, what was the best era of league? And I tell them, nothing beats the line-breaking, flick-passing, goose-stepping, bankers flying, turbo try-scoring, origin drought-breaking, simply the best era of footy we're in right now. And with more market stats and insights, it's easy to enjoy the best era in footy with the best app in footy.
Tab. We're on.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Now, Gus, NRLW finals week 2. Trying to lock up a place in their respective grand finals. So the Roosters and the Broncos, the 2 very dominant teams. Is there an upset somewhere this weekend? Roosters versus Cronulla, 7:45 on Saturday evening. This game is at Polytech Stadium in Gosford. The big news for the Roosters, of course, is Taryn Aiken's gone. She did a knee. Offsetting that is Corbin Baxter has returned from an ankle injury. She'll be playing 5/8. And the Sharks could welcome back Anessa Biddle, the strike centre, and also Gillaroos hooker Quincy Dodd, who has been named in the extended Cronulla squad. They're a plucky sort of professional team, Cronulla. Conscious we were there 2 weeks ago and it was 40 points to 10. The Roosters beat them quite comfortably.
Yeah. Well, the Roosters have beaten everyone quite comfortably this year. The Roosters are undefeated through the home and away season. And the Broncos are undefeated other than the fact that they lost to the Roosters narrowly early in the competition. So I think the Broncos ended up maybe even with an equal or better for than against than the Roosters, because I think the Roosters Broncos score was like 30-26. There was only 4 points in it.
288 differential Broncos, 240 Roosters.
Yeah, so Broncos finished second. The only game they lost was to the Roosters, but it was only 30-26 back in round 1 or round 2. Other than that, they've been pretty much belting everyone else as they please. The Sharks played in the grand final last year against the Roosters. And if you remember, the Roosters ran out to a big lead at half time and the Sharks come roaring back. Might have got to the front or got level at one stage late, and then Roosters scored a late try to close it out. They're the 2 dominant side, the Roosters and the Broncos. They'll be extremely hard to beat. And if they both get through, it'll be a cracking grand final because they seem to have a lot of big-name players in both sides. But Shark and Knight are no slouches. They're both really good teams. And I guess on a big day like that, when the pressure's there and all of a sudden it's sudden death, the loser leaves the country. If they can apply enough pressure and get to the front of the scoreboard sometimes, rugby league's a funny game. It's littered with upsets. History is littered with upsets and sure things that get beaten. And particularly at this time of year, because the Sharks and the Knights have deserved their spot in the preliminary final and they'll be there to play and give it their best shot. There'll be the expectation that the Rooster and the Bronco wins. I tip the Shark because my son's very heavily involved in the NRLW program at the Sharks, so I'll bet with my heart there. Bronco should be too good for the Knight. In the other one. All
right, Broncos Knights, that game's at 1:15 on Sunday at Suncorp as part of a big doubleheader and a massive day for the Broncos club. So you can see all the NRLW action on 9 and 9 now. Let's have a look at the 2 prelims, 2 incredible games of footy coming your way. 7:50 p.m. kickoff at Amy Park. We're on air from 7 o'clock this week, actually, on 9's Wide World of Sports. Thanks to our friends at Tab. Really? Wow. Melbourne $1.40, Cronulla are $3.
Yes. Now, I would say that short quote has come on the back of the fact that not only has Jerome Hughes been named to play at 7, but looking through the extended list, Jonah Pezz's he's named at 21.
Let me give it to you. So Hughes is in at halfback. Pappenhausen is at fullback. Sean Blaw's on the bench, and he's been out for a couple of weeks as well. Meaney goes to the centres. Grant Anderson drops out. He's been sensational. And Jonah Pezzett as well has dropped out of that squad. So they are essentially, for all intents and purposes, at absolute full strength.
The Storm?
Yep.
Noah Sofa Solomona because he's suspended.
Well, apart from him.
But that's half the battle of winning competitions too, is to get there and...
He mightn't have been picked the way things have been going with him.
Yeah. Anyway, I think, to me, the market there is wrong. I think the Sharks are a far better chance than a $3 chance or one in three. I think that I think there are some vulnerabilities with this Storm side, but again, they're at home. Finals refereeing suits them. They're very adept at playing under finals refereeing. They're very aggressive. They've got some cheeky players, and they've been down this road many, many times before. And they've had the fortnight break leading into this. They get their 7 back. That'll be extremely hard to beat. But the Sharks could not get here in better shape. They couldn't get here in better form with confidence levels. I would say over the last 5 years of finals football, their confidence levels have to be at an all-time high for these players. And they've got all that experience under their belt. Their halves are playing well. Their hooker's extraordinary at the moment. Young Blake Rayleigh, and they're playing well. They've got a really strong back five, and I think that's where Melbourne Storm can be vulnerable a little bit out wide. But, Harry Grant, Cameron Munster, Jerome Hughes, Ryan Pappenhausen. Yeah. They're all there on the big day, aren't they? Yep. I'll go... I said Shark last night, but that was not knowing whether or not Jerome Hughes is going to play. By the naming of this side, they're very confident that he's 100%. Sean Bloor, Chewy Kamakamitha, Ali McDonald on the bench. Not sure there's anyone. Joe Chan, whether he might come into the 17.
Well, Pezzett's in 21, so he's still in the extended squad.
Still in the extended squad. As I said last night, I mean, with Jerome Hughes, it's remarkable to me that he's even considered. I found that I was shocked that he played in the last round against the Broncos, only weeks after having a dislocated shoulder that took over an hour to get back into place. Normally when it takes that long, the damage is significant and you can't rehab it in that period of time. Miracle upon miracles, they get him out there on the field and what do you do? Fracture his arm or something or other. So and now he's come back, how many weeks after a fractured arm? 4 weeks? 3 weeks? He did it in the last round, so it's 3 weeks. That's phenomenal. On the same arm that he dislocated.
He's had surgery too.
Yeah, on the same arm that he dislocated. You've got to trust the medics. You've got to trust the player. If the player says he's right, you've got to trust it. Jerome Hughes is not a rookie. He's been down this road many times before. I can't believe that he would put himself or his team in jeopardy of not being 100% fit. He knows what it takes to win these games. He knows that there are able replacements. He knows that Wishart and Pezet have replaced him before. He knows that Pappenhausen's back and Munster and Harry Grant would have everything under control. To put his hand up and say, yes, I'm right to play, he must be very, very confident about his ability to perform. I can't imagine a player of that experience would put himself up for this if he was. I can't imagine a coach like Craig Bellamy allowing it to happen when he doesn't need it to happen. He doesn't need Jerome Hughes to play injured because he has got Wishart and Pezet there. So they've named him, so I'm assuming he's going to be 100% right. Sharks will treat him as though he's 100% right. They'll aim a lot at him just to test it out. And the thing I've liked about the Sharks is their resilience under pressure. The Roosters put a lot of pressure on them a fortnight ago, but they withstood that and came back with something better themselves, wore them down and won the game. Or was that 20-10 or something like that? And
Big, strong bench, the Sharkies.
Big bench. Although Tommy Hazelden won't be back this week. But
they got Kafusi back.
Kafusi's back. I was on the field the other night and I walked off with the Cronulla Sharks and Kafusi was in front of me. Honestly, the tunnel blacked out in front of me. He is a big, big man.
Nikora, Talakai, Kafusi, Hamlin-Uele.
Well, Nikora was one of the best back rowers in the game in the early part of the season. He was one of the real shining lights of the team. He can't get back in the starting lineup. That's how good they're going. Braden Trindle's going enormous. The hooker's going enormous. Nicho Hynes is on this high at the moment. He's on this, he's really enjoying his football and enjoying the experience of winning and what they're doing. He's kicking goals like a demon. He's setting up tries. Braden Trindle, try assists and line break assists and making breaks himself, scoring tries himself. Kennedy, the fullback, is always a handful. The outside backs are really strong. The forward pack, they're also big and they rotate because they've got so many. They can rotate them on short, sharp bursts and keep their defensive mindset up. They're going good. I think they're going to be a real handful.
I love you trying to talk yourself around these tips. You're trying to talk yourself back into the Sharks now. I can see it.
No, well, that's why I'm thinking. I really think it's close to an even money bet. I cannot understand the price for the Melbourne Storm. I mean, I think the Sharks are great value at that. I think if they played this game, if they played this game 5 times, I think there would be the cider.
There you are. That is a genuine flip of the coin.
I think it's a flip of the coin. I really do. Melbourne at home, they're half-back. I can understand why the market's gone that way. And their big game experience and the fact that they've been down this road many times before and they've had the fortnight off for any bumps and bruises and what have you. But I don't think they're allowing for the improvement in the Sharks and the fact that their benefit is that they're playing every week and playing really well. They haven't needed the week off by the look of it. They've had their spells a little bit earlier. So I think the Sharks are in with a real hope. Looking at the team they've named, if every player is a fair dinkum 100% fit and plays to the absolute best of their ability, probably Storm win. Probably. But I'm going to tip the Shark in an upset.
Sharkies!
I think the Sharks this year, I think the Shark gets it done. I think they get to the grand final.
There you go. The Sharks to beat Melbourne as they did in the grand final all those years ago.
This time last year, I mean, Melbourne and Panthers played one of the most astonishing grand finals that we've seen, like high quality, origin quality semi-final between two club teams. If you remember, they both won their preliminary finals by a cricket score.
Yep.
And they both won their semi-final against the other top 4 teams by a cricket score. They were so much better than the other 15 teams in the competition, so much better. This year, I think the battle in the top 4 is now closer, given the seasons that they've had. But by the same token, they're probably still the 2 best teams, Panther and Melbourne.
Now, just let's take your tip as let's assume it happens. The first team through to the grand final will be the team that finished 5th.
Yes. And there's still a chance of having a winner from outside the top 8.
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Because we move to Sunday afternoon at Suncorp, where the Broncos will play the Panthers in what promises to be one of the most memorable games.
Yeah, and this is another thing about the vagaries of our draw and all that. Melbourne and Sharks play on Friday night, right? They're going to get an extra 2 days recovery leading into the grand final from the team that plays Sunday. That's huge at this time of year. Absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. But that's, again, one of the vagaries in our game that we just overlook and say, well, that's okay, we'll just have to put up with it. I don't think it's fair. I really don't think it's fair.
Well, I think the AFL Grand Final has thrown a spatter in the works with all this.
Bugger the AFL Grand Final. Play them both on Sunday. I don't care. Play them both on Friday night. I don't care. But I think a 48-hour advantage for the Melbourne Storm leading into the grand final, or the Sharks leading into the grand final, is huge. That's huge. That's not fair. That's not even. It's really not.
So Broncos...
Don't you think so? Am I being silly?
No, but the turnaround thing is another factor throughout the entire season.
Of course
that
it
clubs
is.
have to deal with.
Of course it is.
Plus
Absolutely.
travel and recovery.
Of course it is. You draw where you travel to and how you get there. What time of year it was. Was it the hot season? Was it the wet season? It's all relative. That's why the draw's uneven. Our draw is uneven. Is it unfair? Probably on some teams it is at different times.
For the Broncos,
I think the market should be closer. Storm and Shark. I'm gonna tip Shark.
Go the Sharkies, according to Gus. Geez, Gal will be pleased with you. Have you noticed a change in his demeanour? Gal.
No,
Nothing.
no.
'Cause I don't think he thought they could win it.
Gal's the same every day of his life. Wants to win everything, wants to argue everything.
Wants to punch on.
And he's always right.
and if you keep talking like that, he'll knock you out.
He's a funny
big news. Adam Reynolds is back. He'll be playing at halfback. Ben Hunt goes to 5'8". Billy Walters is out because of that ACL.
Yep.
There's no Pat Carrigan, as we know, because of suspension. So Tyson Smoothie is going to come in and play at lock forward. And Ezra Mam is wearing jumper number 14 for the Broncos.
And Xavier Willison's back.
If they were dangerous enough.
Yep.
Ezra Mam on the bench. No changes to Penrith. The team is as listed and as took the field against Canterbury last week. With our friends at Tab, the Broncos are $2.15, the Panthers are $1.70 for a game that should rock the foundations of the old Lang Park.
Yeah, and they're two completely different sort of teams. I explained this on 100% Footy last night, and there is often a conjecture in professional sport, and particularly there's a lot of conversations around football clubs about systems and talent and, you know, what comes to the fore. And this is a real battle of system versus talent. This is the Broncos who ooze talent, who ooze individual talent, creativity, speed, skill, size, power. They've got all these individual attributes. And when they put it all together, they're an awesome beast to stop. They really are. They don't always get it right. They can come in and out of games. Look at that game last week against the Canberra Raiders. They were down 28-12. They scored first. They went out in the first couple of minutes and you know, Tony Staggs just breaks through Fogarty and scores a try, and they're up 6-0, and they're all pumped up and pumping each other's chest out. You know, an hour later, they're down 28-12.
With the bloke in the bin.
With the bloke in the bin. He comes back, and all of a sudden, bang, they're 28 all. If Reece Walsh kicks those two conversions, they lead 30-28. It all gets decided in normal time. The Canberra Raiders just capitulated in front of them, but it was the size and the power and the strength. All of a sudden, the Broncos get it right. And they can go through periods like that in games where they're awesome. Now, if they're to do that early in the game, if the talent, if they get possession, they get a couple of penalties, and they get these opportunities and score early and get that big Suncorp crowd behind them, they're an awesome beast to stop. Awesome. But as you saw last week, Panthers have got this ability when they get to big games to totally obliterate their opposition and take them out of the contest. I can't remember the Bulldogs playing the ball in Penrith's half in the first half of the game. So whatever strategy the Bulldogs went in with, were never able to get it on at any stage until the game was over. When they did, when the Bulldogs did get a bit of field position and when they were able to roll through whatever their strategy was, they did found some weaknesses in the Panthers' defence, particularly the Panthers' left-hand defence. And
definitely.
I haven't heard how Casey Maguire is, who left the field.
Casey McLean. He's been named, and they say he's okay.
They say, well, they always do that, but you know, he left the field and he had a shoulder complaint, and it
was a hip.
Yeah, they were seen to be vulnerable on that left-hand defence, and that's the side that Katoni Staggs will be going, and you know, Reece Walsh likes to hover around that area as well. That's where Adam Reynolds is. That won't be lost on them. The Panthers need to get that right. You know,
sure.
Blaze Talangi and you know, McLean will be under some pressure at that stage, and if Dylan Edwards hovers and gravitates towards that side, anticipating what the opposition will do, Adam Reynolds has got tricky little kicks and chip kicks and back kicks that he can sort of do to take advantage of that and keep Dylan where he is. This will be the craft of Adam Reynolds is another facet to the Broncos that wasn't there last week. I know he's been missing for a while, but it just might be the edge that they need to win a game like this under these circumstances. Normally, I would favour system over talent. I think that the system that the Panthers have, their principles that they play under, the methodical work and tiring nature of their football on their opposition, their patience, to be able to be patient and wait for their opportunities and then execute brilliantly. I think their attack is very underrated at times. They're more than just a kick and chase team. They can execute and score tries when they need them. And as we saw, the Broncos' defence can be extremely vulnerable. Like at 28-12 last week, I didn't think it was going to stop. I thought the Raiders were on a real roll. And then, you know, Reece Walsh gets sent to the sin bin. It was all hell broke loose. But, yeah, it's an interesting one. System versus talent. Talent wins. Talent can have its good day. Over time, I think system wins, and that's what the Panthers have shown over the last 4 or 5 seasons. I'm going to back the Panther simply because at this time of year they seem to find a way to shut down the strengths in their opposition and execute the plays they need. Whether the Broncos can beat them coming off their own goal line all night, if Cleary's able to dictate the game and the kicking game and the defence is doing what it's doing and the way to slow the opposition down, I think the Panthers will get them over a period of time. But if the Broncos were able to get field position and possession, I think they're a chance of scoring points as well. It's a very interesting contest. Neither result would surprise. I'm going to go with system. I'm going to go with Panther simply because of their class and the halfback that they got, and not so much on the form they showed this week, but the fact that they've come a long way to be here, and I think they've come too far to fail. I think they're writing another chapter in this long dynasty that they've put together, and they've done it different ways. I mean, a couple of years ago, they came from an seemingly impossible position with 15 minutes to go in a grand final and beat their side. There'll be a number of these Broncos players that want redemption for that. But on the sheer football, if it's played under finals refereeing and finals sort of combat, I can see the Panthers wearing them down. If there are a lot of penalties, if there's a lot of six agains, if there's a lot of stop-start in the game, that will really suit the explosive Broncos. And if they can get field position and possession, they've got the big people and the hard ball runners, and they've got the guile around Adam Reynolds, and they've got the class of Reece Walsh to score points. You know, if it's normal finals refereeing with few penalties and few six agains and let the players decide and the ball's in play for a long period of time, I'll back the Panther fitness to finish over the top of them. I'll go with system. I'll go with Panther. I'll go with the Panther-Shark grand final.
5 plays 7.
5 plays 7, and we will break the hoodoo of a team outside the top 4 winning.
There you
the
go.
premiership. And I told you it would happen eventually.
Well, it may not happen yet.
It may not. They may not happen.
Neither might get through yet.
Neither might get there. Neither might get there. It might be another. Yeah, neither might get there. Well, it'd be interesting if we got a repeat of last year's grand final. If there's a repeat of last year's grand final, who do you think starts favourite? If it's Panther v Melbourne, who starts favourite? I think Panther starts favourite.
I think Melbourne starts favourite. It'll be $1.90 each of two. It'd have to be.
Depending on injuries, I suppose. Well, the Melbourne get the 2 extra days. I think that's huge. That's huge for them.
Does Carrigan not being there enter your thinking?
No, not really. Not really. I think Smoothie and the boy off the bench, Hetherington, they'll do the work rate thing. They'll do the work rate thing. But I do think Panthers will wear them down. I think if the games played as normal semi-final games are played and played more in the origin style, I think the system will beat the talent. If it's stop-start, if there are a lot of six agains, if it's, penalties and stop-start and all that sort of thing, and there's turnovers. What's the weather for Brisbane? Tell me the weather.
I heard it was fine and 27.
For Sunday? Mm-hmm. Sunday afternoon footy. Nothing beats Sunday afternoon footy.
So the Panthers in day games since the turn of this decade have won 33 from 37.
Well, Nathan Cleary's undefeated in day games.
As you said, yes.
Different in Brisbane, though. It'd be different. Yeah. So I'm going to go Panther Shark, the two teams that came into the competition in 1967.
Indeed.
Long time ago. They came into the competition at the same age. Panther v Shark. I think that'll be a nice grand final.
Would be.
Panther v Melbourne. Here we go again. Bronco v
Melbourne. Or Shark.
Or Shark. Bronco v Shark. That'd be a turn-up, wouldn't it? No one saw that coming.
No way.
So weeks ago when I said the premiership winner is well hidden,
you may yet be right.
We wouldn't be thinking Bronco Shark, would we?
No, but if it was Melbourne Penrith in the grand final, well, in fact, you know what? You said that in the first episode of the year. So either way, you've got it completely right. Well, you've played this beautifully.
Well, at the time where I said the competition winner is well hidden, Panthers weren't even the 8. They weren't even in the 8 when I said that.
We'll leave this for next week, but it could be one of the greatest rugby league stories ever if they were to go on and win the comp.
Well, they've won the comp from all sorts of areas. They won it during COVID. They won it when we come out of COVID. They won a grand final in Brisbane. They won they've come from way behind. They've belted Parramatta. They've won it in any manner of form. And most of the competitions, they were minor premiers or close to the competition, up in the top 4 when they get to the finals. Now they've had to come from last. When were they last? Round 13 or round
12?
Round 12. They've had to come from last and come on this enormous run, and they would have to break the NRL hoodoo of winning a competition from outside the top 4, which no one said you could do, and I'm saying someone will do it eventually, and it's likely to be a Panther. They'll finish outside the top 4, but win the competition. Be an extraordinary story. It just keeps adding to the dynasty. Long way to go, though. Broncos might have something to say about that. Interesting, intriguing round of rugby league.
Incredible, too.
I'm going to Melbourne Friday night. So I'm going down for Storm.
I'm coming with you.
Are you going down there?
We'll be there.
Storm Shark.
Big weekend in Melbourne too. Thanks, Gus. All the finals action on 9 and 9 now. 7 o'clock Friday, 2:30 on Sunday, with games kicking off at 7:50 and 4 p.m. Look forward to your company for all the prelims, and we're back next week to look at the grand final.